Hi, I'm Ollie Sidwell, co-founder of RMP. Welcome to our new series of RMP Enterprise Insight Sessions. These are designed to provide you with all the insights into what's going on in the early careers world. You'll get behind the scenes looks on various events and learn exactly how to best engage with early talent. If you like what we're doing, please hit subscribe and you can come back soon. To kick us off today, I'm going to welcome Emma Miles-Walton. Emma, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So Emma, we've just been doing an event called Don't Disappear. So why have we been doing that?
We called it Don't Disappear because there's definitely a tendency from employers to only focus on the autumn term. It's when their applications are open, it's when they're going to all of their campus events. And actually, a real clear message that came out of our student survey is that students are finding them harder to engage with beyond the autumn term. They're wanting to see more of employers. They also said they're feeling ghosted, which was quite an interesting term. I think it's the first time it's ever come out outside of the dating game, where essentially they're not just feeling ghosted in terms of where have employers gone, it's not autumn anymore, are they going to be doing anything in spring term, term 3, but they're also feeling a bit ghosted when they've submitted an application. They cited that it takes a long time for employers to get back to them, they don't always get feedback. And actually, there were some pretty alarming stats that I think it was 30% of students had opted out of a job opportunity or out of an application process. And that actually climbed up from underrepresented groups. So it was called Don't Disappear because it's really important for both stages, whether someone's not yet applied, whether they're in the application process, that employers are remaining visible all year round.
So this all came from a student survey. So tell us a bit more about this survey where you got all this insight from, because there's some pretty heavy stats you just shared there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, we've all been in graduate recruitment or early careers recruitment for a long time. And sometimes it's super important just to take a bit of a snapshot of where students are at. There's so many changes happening at the moment. And we referenced this in the session, the rise in AI, chat GBTs being used for applications, cost of living crisis. There's so much going on. So we thought it was really important to take a bit of a stock check and see where students were at, any hints and tips that they wanted to give employers so that we could essentially relay that information back to them. And one of the things we asked students was, when do you start applying for jobs? And that's when this Don't Disappear message really came into fruition, because 41% of students said they didn't even start their applications till January. Till January. And when we're looking at, prime time for applications, so many people are already starting their assessment centres in December or ready for the new year. So that was one of the things that really came out. There were tons of stats in there, and we've got a full report which we can share or link in the comments here. But yeah, this Don't Disappear message really started to come out then, because students' timelines and employer timelines just weren't joining up.
So what would you recommend then? Because I feel like we went through loads of things in the webinar about actually these are loads of problems that are happening in the market. So what do we do? What do we know? And how do we try and solve some of these to try and appeal to not only all students, but equally the students from underrepresented backgrounds as well, which you highlighted?
Yeah, so I think we don't want to say autumn's not important. It is important. We know that it's the prime time for all of your activity. And we also know that you can't just change your application windows overnight. They're there for a reason. You've got, all of your assessment process to do. But I think what we are trying to say to employers is think from a student's perspective of what happens if they miss that deadline or if they miss the boat. There's, the academic year is a whole year. And also in graduate recruitment, it might be a whole year before they actually start the role. So they might have secured a role, but it might be a whole year till they actually start it. So I think what we're trying to suggest based on this student feedback is think about the graduate recruitment cycle as a whole year. Don't just think about it as my applications are open, I need to do loads in autumn term. Think about it as a whole year. And there's loads of ways you can do that.
Yeah, I think you've talked about always on for a few years. I feel like that's been your mantra.
I love the term always on.
Well, how do you beat always on? Because that's an easy thing to say, but how do you actually do it and do it effectively?
Yeah, so I think, the basics that people do are they know that they're going live in, say, October, or some people are going live in September. or August now. So I think the basics that people do is they go live, they get all of their job applications in, and then they're just in application mode. They're just sifting through applications, doing their interviews, and then they're opening again when the next August comes round, and summer's their planning cycle. And the whole always on mantra is just saying, how can you stay front of mind all year round? How can you even if you haven't got job applications that are open, how can you still be in the minds of students? And there's so many benefits for doing that for the employer and for the student. So there's some real like easy things that they can put in place. So
hit me. Let's go.
Hit ya. Yeah, well, the good news is a lot of them are really simple to implement. So building a talent community really supports the student. Say, for example, they've missed the boat and it's January time. It gives them somewhere to go, somewhere to sign up. But it also really benefits the employer, because if they're building that talent community all year round, always on, then they're literally giving themselves a longer runway to recruit. They're giving themselves a longer time and a head start. Because the people that are doing that really well, they're not just signing up people that are eligible for their programs. They're signing up school leavers, college leavers, first years. And actually all of these students are then perfect pipeline for when they do open in the autumn term. They've already got people there ready to go. So that's a real simple way to just make sure you're being there for students, but also you're staying in touch throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay. So to show you what I've learned, we will go, as soon as your roles come down, you go live with this register your interest form. Students who are looking can then sign up. They get automated emails as to when you're going live again. It means you're never off, effectively, if you're always on. And then once you go live again, you can email all those students, I assume, as soon as your roles do go live for next year, because you've built that pipeline.
Yeah, exactly that. It is that simple. And we do it on behalf of a lot of employers. Like, we know employers are busy. We know that, you're not just going to be thinking, I need to email that talent community again. So we do that on behalf of employers as well, which works really nicely, because it also means we can kind of see the end-to-end journey of a student. We can say, oh, you actually met so-and-so at this, so-and-so. You actually met this student at this university campus event, or you actually met this student from this school's presentation, and they, in six months later or a year later, they met you again at this event, and then they made their application and they actually went on to get hired. So it not only allows you to be always on, have a presence all year round, it also enables you to look at, oh, hold up, that stuff I'm doing there on campus, or that stuff I'm doing in schools, is really working for me. It just might take a few months to see the benefits.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to think yearly rather than monthly.
Yes, love it. Okay, so that's the first one. What is the second one that you spoke through?
Yeah, I think another, again, pretty simple way but super effective is bring your people to life. And you can do that in many forms, but bringing your people to life really showcases to a student what it's like to work in your organisation. And you can do that any time of year. People are really good at showcasing case studies and things when applications are open, but think about content as a year-long strategy. So how can you be bringing your people to life, or how can you be showcasing your employer brand through your people? Few ways you can do that. I mean, it's no secret that we're pretty big advocates of reviews at Rate My Placement and Rate My Apprenticeship. They're all centered around, people that are actually in your programs or have completed your programs, giving their feedback so that other students can come on and learn from them and see if the opportunities for them. Other ways to, take that a step arguably further is through things like video testimonials, interviews, actually having people coming in and doing a content day with your early talent. And that's super effective for a year-long strategy, because you can, showcase your office environment. I know there's a big drive from lots of companies to bring people back into the office. You can showcase, maybe someone in a role which their journey wasn't quite the linear way to get there, and how they navigated that, so that a student there that's watching it might be thinking, oh, that's a bit like me. So you can use that content in many different ways, and you can use it all year round. It can go on social media, it can go on any of your media partners, or you could just host it on your website. And again, people that are visiting your website any time of year, that content is there for them. Always there for them.
What about the survey then? Let's dig back into the survey, because I feel like a lot of the students were saying they love the fun stuff, and you kind of touched on a little bit there with socials, but I feel like the growing opportunity with social media just gives even more opportunity for students to feel the insight and fun from companies.
Yeah, big time. So 30% of students specifically referenced they wanted to see more fun from employers, more fun. So they categorise that as things like being more active on social media, competitions, pop-up events, things like that. They were really into. But they also said that meeting someone face to face helped build their confidence. So we know that there's a huge appetite for face to face. Students want to meet employers on campus. They want to see who they're going to be working with. They want to go to the offices, and all those things are brilliant. Would recommend them. Students get so much value out of it. But the reality is, not all employers are going to have the resources, the capacity to go to every school, go to every campus, have everyone in their offices, as much as they would love to, I'm sure. So what the online campaigns and what social media campaigns allow employers to do is to still connect with them. But it's just how they do that. So how can they bring, those people or those fun initiatives to the students, which they're really craving, at the places they can't always attend? Social media can be amazing, especially because you can get a lot of your early talent in your businesses to actually produce the content for you. And they're amazing at it. They can do things like day in the life or videos or little office tours or reels. We've noticed a massive uptake in TikTok, which I know some employers struggle to get onto. It's a bit of a tricky platform, so is Instagram. But we've had massive success in terms of just brand reach on TikTok. So I think we went viral for the first time this week, didn't we? I think it's like 2 million TikTok impressions. So that is a really, really powerful tool. Sorry? You can take that one step further. So some employers will do, say, quite formal interviews with their early talent, but actually what we're finding is the more authentic content works. So we were in with HSBC a few months ago, and we were doing like 360 videos of their offices. We were doing really informal interviews with some of their grads, asking them about the best things, the worst things about HSBC, and it's really come to life. And it's really vibrant, and it's not stuffy, it's not too corporate. And I think that's the kind of content that's really resonating with students now. They want to get a snippet into what it's actually like to work for you, not just kind of hear it where everyone sounds the same.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think having that brand affiliation and getting a feel for what it's really like to work in these places from the student's perspective is incredible. So how do you, we've spoken a lot about then the importance of people in there, along with talent communities, the power of social media. What about brands and how we actually get that onto campus or in schools, for example? Because it's lovely having all this great stuff, but you need to get it out there. So what are the best employers doing to get it out there and activate their brand in front, to be front of mind with employers?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of the stuff we've really spoken about so far is stuff that can just be working for you in the background. Having a talent community doing the work for you in the background, bringing your people to life. Your people are already there, so that's easy enough to do. But the employers that take it one step further and kind of really level up are the ones that actually think about having an activated spring or term 3 campaign. And what I mean by activated is where they approach it like they do autumn. So with autumn, people might say, okay, we're going to go to this many campus events, we're going to do something splashy, or we're going to make sure we're presenting at these schools. The people that really do level it up are the ones that take that same mentality and apply it to spring. Now, spring is different. It's not all going to be about driving applications to your roles, although some people might still be open. It's more about what is the one key message you want to land with students at that time of year. So some things that are brilliant in springtime to be thinking about is early engagement. So, connecting with first and second years, or if you want to go out to schools, connecting with school leavers. So early engagement's a massive benefit. Another one is you can be a bit splashy, you can be a bit fun. We spoke about that earlier. But, it's not all about applications now. So it gives you that freedom to do something a little bit different. And also it is the time of year that the Times Top 100 survey is taking place. So,
Yes.
employers that are really ambitious and want to get in that survey or become an employer of choice, springtime's a brilliant time to do that. Spring is great. I'd really recommend employers consider it.
Okay, so you've spoken a lot there about the Times Top 100, and I'm sure a lot of employers watching and listening have heard about this. Tell us a bit more about it, and actually some employers that are really taking advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, so the Times Top 100 is a huge accolade for employers, and it's, I think, probably still one of the first places students start. If a student isn't really sure what they want to do, who they want to work for, to have a shortlist in front of them is a pretty good place to start. So it's a great thing to be part of, and some employers are really keen to not only be in there, but to also kind of climb up in those rankings for that extra level of prestige. In terms of what it's all about, so it's actually based on a research survey which is conducted to final year students, where they're essentially asked who is the best graduate employer, or who offers the best graduate opportunities. That's the exact wording. And students vote. So they take part in this survey all about career opportunities, and that's the question that formulates the Times Top 100. So there's normally about 30 universities where this survey takes place, and around 12,000, it used to be 20, it's in between 12 and 20,000 students that are surveyed every year. And that one question is what makes it. So
Okay.
when you think about the reasons why people might vote for an employer for that question, it's all about who's visible, who's being seen, who's showcasing their CSR initiatives, who's coming across like a really good employer. So it's a super important table for students that are starting out on their journey and aren't sure really where to start, or which industries are performing best, or which companies are performing best. But it's really important for employers as well to have the students wanting to work for the best companies, and them getting recognised as well for their programs and all the hard work that they do.
You've touched on CSR initiatives, which I think we'll come back to when we talk about the student discussion we had afterwards.
Yes.
What about employers that are being amazing? What are they doing? How are they doing it?
Yeah. They're not disappearing.
Yeah.
But genuinely that is it. So I will say there was a big trend last year where employers that threw everything at spring for when the survey is taking place, but didn't do a whole bunch in autumn, didn't do as favourably, and also flip reverse. The people that did loads in autumn but didn't do anything in spring. So the companies that are doing the best are the ones that are maintaining a level of presence across the year. In terms of what they actually look like as campaigns, we've seen some really cool stuff. I think Clyde & Co took a massive globe out onto campus. We've seen like pizza carts, we've seen coffee giveaways, and then online competitions as well, like winning a holiday, or like getting a first step into a mentorship program, or getting a finals day to an insight or internship program. So those online kind of competitions that give students a first touch point into your brand, but also fun.
Yeah.
and might give them a step into learning more about you, coming to your offices. I would say they're doing stuff. They're not disappearing. They're staying live consistently, and then they're normally having some element of campus alongside an online or a digital campaign. It has to be what I call multi-channel. I think you want as many people to see your brand as possible during that time. So you can't limit it to just a few campus events where only those students are going to see you. You need to make sure that if you're doing campus events, you're promoting that message on social media so that other unis can see you. And also being a bit particular about where you go and who you want to talk to. The benefit of the online element means you can reach loads of universities. I think it was like 100 universities on average for some of our campaigns last year. So be thoughtful about the ones you want to visit and the ones you just want to target through things like email marketing, social media marketing, digital advertising. And I will say as well, what underpins all these campaigns really is student brand ambassadors. Like we do a lot of the work. They do a lot of the work. Like if they're representing a brand and they're shouting about it all over their university, shouting about it all over their social media, they were by far the biggest driver of like generating candidate leads, building talent communities, and also like entry to these competitions that employers are running. So they have been, a huge marker in terms of getting employers front of mind for Times Top 100.
Okay, so that is a really thorough and comprehensive overview. Thank you. So we've got making sure you've got a strategy to target this audience, making sure that it's not only on campus, because we know students love that face-to-face engagement, but making sure that it's digital to attract as many universities and reach as possible, and across all forms of digital reach. So we've touched a little bit on the student perspective here. When we started things off with a survey, we also had some student insight sessions after you spoke. So talk us a bit about what they were saying, because your multi-channel suggestions is something that they were all on board for, because they all said something slightly different. I think Ria spoke about the importance of webinars.
Yeah.
They all said something that was just a bit slightly different. So where do you start with all that?
Yeah. I think first of all, I always forget how amazing students are. You know, we talk about them as this like big collective often, like when we're doing reporting on, you know, how many people have clicked through to applications or how many students saw your brand. And then when you actually get to talk to them face to face in a panel, you're like, wow. You're so impressive. So that was a big learning for me, like the amount of stuff they're doing and extracurricular and how much they're doing to kind of set themselves up for career success is just amazing. So the students on the panel, they all were from different year groups. So, you know, first, second, third years, all studying different things, different ambitions. But there were definitely a few trends that came out from all of them. I asked them, like, was there a standout moment from an employer, or you know, something that one employer's done that's really stood out? And Jin referenced that he met a partner at a law firm. I think it was virtually, or it might have been in the offices, but that was just like a phenomenal standout experience for him. So that was awesome. And then another thing that really came up, and we mentioned this briefly earlier, was CSR initiatives. So what sets an employer apart, or what makes a student think of an employer rather than another one, is what they're doing in terms of kind of corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So, you know, are they making a real effort, a considered effort in their global impact? There was talk about, you know, which law firms are doing pro bono work, and are they talking about this, and are people taking those initiatives seriously, and are employers promoting them? That was a real standout thing. And they love face-to-face. That came out again. But also any opportunity to have face-to-face. I think we think of face-to-face as being in person, but actually you can make connections through things like online strategies that we've spoken about, even if you can't physically be everywhere. So yeah, loads of trends that came out, but they were mainly just, really high energy and had loads of great things to say.
Yeah. Emma, thank you. That has been absolutely fantastic and a great start to this new series. So hope you enjoyed that too. I found it really fascinating to hear again from Emma what's been going on. If you would like to pop a like or maybe share a comment or any feedback you have for us on this, we would love to hear from you more, and we'll share more and more insights in terms of what we're doing, insights, trends and innovations that we're finding from the student audience. So we will share them. Do give us some feedback, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. I've been Ollie.
I've been Emma.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thanks.